Manchester United versus Liverpool, arguably the biggest rivals in the Premier League. And Manchester United suck at the moment, so I don't know why we're doing this. But we're joined by Leo's Goals and Good Vibes John to do our Man United versus Liverpool combined 11. Welcome, gentlemen. Are you ready for this one?
Come on, bring it.
Yes, let's go. Let's do it.
They are ready. Now, of course, make sure to check out Leo's Goals and Good Vibes John. Link is in the description. And how this is going to work is Leo and John are going to pitch their players to me. And ultimately, as a City fan who completely hates them both, Liverpool and Man United, I get to decide who makes this combined 11. So it is up to Leo and John to pitch their players to me and try and sell me into picking their player for the combined 11. Right, without further ado, let's get into it. Remember, City are the only club in Manchester, so we're already starting off with that.
Alisson or Onana?
The goalkeeper. It's not really much of a debate, but I want to hear what you lads think.
Alisson Becker has to be the best goalkeeper in the world. We saw it again at the weekend against Crystal Palace. He made 2 massive saves just coming back from his injury. And I mean, I have no more words for him.
Look, don't get me wrong. I have the biggest respect for somebody like Alisson Becker. I said it before, Liverpool in the past, all Jurgen Klopp needed was Becker and Van Dijk, and that team was going to be special. And it became one of the most special teams in the history of the Premier League. But in the defense of my man, Andre Onana, he's had one of the most leaky, injury crisis-prone defense in front of him. And he's had to make more saves. He's had to make more passes. Yeah. Is a fantastic keeper. I think Andre Onana gets the nod for me.
Oh, okay, so an interesting pitch from both of you. That is controversial indeed. Right, question for John. 2 mistakes against Galatasaray. Yes, he saved a penalty against Copenhagen. Another mistake against Copenhagen, as well as that howler against Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. Andre Onana is prone to a mistake, and it doesn't really come often in Alisson Becker's game. How can you defend Andre Onana with that one, John?
You know, this is really tough to be a Man United fan right now, but in the defense, in my perspective, I just feel like Andre Onana, the reason why he's making these mistakes is because while he might be a little bit susceptible, this is his game style. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. Andre Onana, throughout his years at Ajax, at Inter Milan, he's had mistakes, but the reason why it dragged him to a Champions League final last season was because of how incredible he actually can be.
But this is based on current form and fitness, and Leo, obviously, Alisson is arguably the best goalkeeper in world football right now.
Nah, I mean, it's gotta be Alisson.
Yeah, if it's based on current form.
I was gonna say Alisson is one of those keepers, though, you put him with any back four, and I think he still makes those huge saves. When he comes out, for example, in a 1v1, as a Liverpool fan, or as a football fan, when you see him, you're confident that they're not going to score, which is a feeling I've never had in football.
So a question for John. When you're running one-on-one, say you're a professional footballer and you're running one-on-one against a goalkeeper, it's against Alisson or against Onana. Which one are you more confident scoring against?
Andre Onana.
There we go.
There's the answer. Alisson makes the combined 11.
Trent or Wan-Bissaka?
Trent Alexander-Arnold is in some form at the moment, I'll tell you what, but he still can't defend. That's the issue. Wan-Bissaka can defend, but he's in a Man United back four that just can't stop conceding goals. Wan-Bissaka's the better defender, Trent's the better attacker. Leo, John, what are we thinking?
Yeah, no, John, what I'll give you is 1v1 defending. Wan-Bissaka is very, very good. I'll give you that. But in a big game, and you've been seeing it, you saw the game at the Etihad, you saw against Fulham when somebody needed to step up. Trent is that guy. He's so much more than just a right back. He's that guy that's going to step up. And now he's wearing the Predators like Stevie G. As an overall player, like Trent can really take you to heights. But who would I want in a big game against United in this big rivalry? Of course, it would have to be Trent. You know he's going to have a big moment.
Look, as much as I respect Trent and I love that he's a fantabulous player, you cannot be wearing the Predators and showing your butt crack while playing for you, getting ready to take a corner kick.
Yeah, but guess what?
I'm telling you right now.
Bro,
Leo.
He shows his butt crack and then he gets an assist for Virgil. That's what I mean.
Here we go. This is what we want. That's what
I mean.
All right, look. You gotta give me something here, all right? How about this? Let me give you my case for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. A defender's job, number one, numero uno, the job is to defend. Yeah. And for me, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, there is none other when it comes to tracking back, when it comes to making those clutch tackles, when it comes to being the reliable right back from a defensive perspective.
If we were playing football 20 years ago, I would say yes. But now modern day fullbacks are so much more than just let's defend, let's defend those 1v1s. Now, as you're seeing, these fullbacks are moving into midfield. We're seeing more and more inverted fullbacks. Trent is the best inverted fullback in the world.
Brilliant case for both players from Leo and John. Trent Alexander-Arnold at the moment is one of the best fullbacks in the world. However, a fullback's primary thing is to defend, and that's what Wan-Bissaka can do better. But like I said, it's on current form and fitness. But Trent Alexander-Arnold in the form that he's in,
Oh, yeah.
with the goals that he's scoring, and he can defend. I think Trent can defend better than Wan-Bissaka can attack. And that's what's pulling me towards Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I'm making an executive decision here. I'm sorry, John, but it's got to be Trent, but only just.
Canarde or Varane?
A superb French battle. I like them both. Do you want the experienced Varane or the youth of Canate? I think it's really close. What are you lads thinking on this one?
Varane of the past, I would give it to you, John. I would give you Varane of the past. But what I want to know is why isn't Varane in the French team? Why isn't he in the United team when he's fit? That says something about where his current state of football is at. While Ibu Konate, massive role at the World Cup, and if he had started in the final, you ask anyone in France, would France have beaten Argentina in the final if he had started in the final alongside Upamecano? Most people would say yes. That's how good he is.
Look, Raphael Varane, we call him Rolls-Royce Varane for a reason. He is absolute class. Right now, with respect to the current situation, Harry Maguire is just having the form of his life. But I am 100% certain that once Raphael Varane, I think there's really something going on behind the scenes, whether it be with respect to Varane's fitness, whether it be with respect to Varane's sort of place with respect to the style of play that Eric Ten Hag prefers. I don't know what it is, but I guarantee you once Raphael Varane gets back on this pitch, he will be absolutely phenomenal for us.
No, I was going to say he's class, but Didier Deschamps has the possibility of playing him or Ibu Konate. And the reality is Ibu Konate has no weaknesses. And the best part about Ibu Konate's game, which doesn't get talked about enough, is his mentality.
This is one of those things where I won't put up too much of a fight. Just because I know that the rest of the starting 11, you're going to get it from me. So if you feel like you're going to win this one, I'll give it to you.
I bet what Virgil's coming next, but okay. All right. We'll take it, though. We'll take it.
John, is there any sort of fight, or are you going to concede this one?
I feel like I just wanted to be honest. I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm absolutely waffling. I just think the center-back partnership, from my perspective, I think Liverpool provides a little bit more of the overall quality.
Okay, so it looks like we're all in agreement with Ibrahima Konate. Is that correct?
Ibu. My boy, Ibu Konate.
Konate's in.
Van Dijk or Maguire?
First of all, we'll talk about Harry Maguire, Premier League Player of the Month. He's been brilliant. He's been playing the best football that he has. But we can see that in Maguire. He plays well for England. It just wasn't correlating to Manchester United form. And now it is. And he's playing really, really well. But Virgil van Dijk is Virgil van Dijk. He's just absolutely unbelievable. I know we had a bit of an off year last year, but this year, he's back to his best. And he's back being arguably the best centre-back in the world right now. Are we in agreement on Van Dijk?
Yeah.
Is there a case for Maguire here?
Yeah. I mean, for Virgil, what I'll say is what seems to have made such a big difference, oddly enough, is when he got that captain's armband, it's like massive role of responsibility he had to take up from Hendo, just took it under his stride, and it looks like it just gave him confidence to get back to what he was.
I've been a Manchester United fan that's been actually relatively critical of Harry Maguire, but to see this kind of comeback, and if he continues this form, if he continues to show this resilience, this quality, and this strength, this would be probably up there with one of the greatest inspirational comebacks ever, and I don't mean that lightly at all. The amount of abuse that Harry Maguire has had to endure as a footballer, and not just as a footballer, but as a human being, he's incredible. Yeah. And going back to the combined 11, this breaks my heart because I actually really, really rate Virgil van Dijk, and it's going to be very tough for me to win this argument. But for me, I think Harry Maguire, if you've watched him play recently, if we're talking about current form, the amount of clutch tackles that he's making, the solitude that he's showing at the back line, organizing, shoring up that defense, he looks incredible. And that's bizarre for me to say. And if you're a Manchester United fan watching at home, you probably agree with me when I say that I'm backing Harry Maguire.
I think this is the best chance that Harry Maguire is ever going to have to go up in a debate against Virgil van Dijk. But for me, there's only one person. It's a great point, but there's only Virgil van Dijk that can make this team. However, what I do want to do is to give respect to Harry Maguire. Who would make it between Konate and Harry Maguire? I know we did Konate versus Varane. In reflection, that was probably a bad move. Who would be the centre-back pairing out of these four centre-backs? Varane, Konate, Van Dijk, or Maguire?
I'll say for...
Look, Leo.
Leo. Go ahead, John.
Like, can I take over this?
Yeah.
I honestly, respectfully, if we could draw a compromise line here, if we go with Virgil van Dijk and Harry Maguire, if we make a combined 11 with Virgil van Dijk and Harry Maguire, right now based on form, it would be the best defense in the Premier League.
I'm Jurgen Klopp, and I play a high line. I would not want Maguire just because of his pace. And again, I agree, he's been in incredible form. But when you're playing that high line type of football, I don't think he's that player that you want.
Okay, but remember, Leo, this is a combined 11 between Man United and Liverpool. who are we having as the best two centre-backs in form right now to make this combined 11?
Maybe it's painful for me to give you this one, but maybe it's the only United player that will be in this lineup. So let's do Maguire and Virgil. Let's do just because he's the only one.
Controversial.
Okay,
so we're going with Van Dijk over Harry Maguire. However, we are going to take out Konate and put in Harry Maguire as our other centre-back. So that is the back two centre-backs complete.
that hurts.
Tsimikas or Shaw?
Usually this would be Robertson against Luke Shaw, but Tsimikas has had to come in due to the injury of Andy Robertson, and we're trying to base it on form and fitness. I think it's Luke Shaw as of right now. Leo will probably disagree. John will probably agree. But lads, what are we thinking?
Yeah, I mean, imagine Kostas has the most impossible job on the planet of having to replace the best left back in world football. 5 of 6 games, he's registered 3 assists, and he just brings that energy and stability. He's bringing consistent performances, and that's in a high line, so very, very difficult to get adjusted to. So honestly, he's just shown what he's all about. And when we played City, that's what I want to ask you. Did he have Foden in his pocket? I think so. So against the highest level of opposition, he's also keeping players in his pocket, you know, so you can't ask for more.
Look, I'll say this about Tsimikas. I think Tsimikas has put in a very, very good, decent shift, but at the end of the day, there's nobody as class as Luke Shaw at left back. I think he's underrated and underappreciated because throughout the years at Manchester United, he's been dragged with respect to his name by managers and all of these people just making fun of Manchester United. I ride for my guy Luke Shaw. He is a world-class left back on his day, and this season in particular, I'm saying it. Look, Luke Shaw is
on his day.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing about football.
Thank you.
Consistency is king. Consistency.
So why doesn't Tsimikas make the Liverpool starting 11 if he's so consistent?
Because Robbo's the best left back in the world. He, like, literally the best left back in the world.
Of course, Andy Robertson is the most consistent player in the world, but surely if you're Kostel Tsimikas and you're that good, why not go and start week in, week out for another team?
He will. I think he will eventually. Probably down the line. Let's see.
I just feel like watching between Tsimikas and Luke Shaw. I just feel like the quality of experience that he brings. He's a senior player now, as much as he might still be relatively young in comparison to some of the other defenders. Luke Shaw has the quality and the experience required to be in any sort of combined 11.
With Robertson being injured, if it's Robertson versus Luke Shaw, it's not even a debate. Of course, it's Andy Robertson. Would Luke Shaw start for Liverpool?
It's hard to say.
Over Tsimikas.
It's a really, really tight one. But again, because I look at
because you don't want to say that he would.
No, but if I look at the other 6 players on the pitch, I'll give this one off, Luke Shaw, because I look at the other 6 positions and I'm really confident it's all Liverpool. So let's do it.
John, you've got another player in.
Come on!
Luke Shaw makes the combined 11.
Mac Allister or Amrabat?
Liverpool need a CDM. They get a CDM. They would literally, Liverpool City would be back. It would be 100 points, 99 points. That's how good this Liverpool team is. And it's just a shame on McAllister that he's having to play in at CDM because he's so much better suited to push out into a right centre mid role and have a bit of a free roam in the midfield. That's where he excelled for Argentina in the World Cup. A conversation that me and Leo had when we did the City versus Liverpool combined 11. But Amrabat is an out-and-out CDM. But he's not really got going from United so far. He's not rekindled the form that he had at the World Cup. Lads, I'll leave you with that. What are you thinking?
Maka, in a role, like you said, that's really not suited for him, has stepped up for us. And, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we are top of the league. You know what I mean? So if he wasn't doing his job, then I don't think we would be in where we are at, you know? So the way he's been able to just take a stand for the team, we know it's a position he doesn't want to play, but he'll do anything because he has that mentality. You know, he's like a Milner type player. We'll just put a shift in for the team, and that's why I would absolutely have him over Amrabat.
We had the conversation about McAllister sort of probably being more desired up front, going a bit more advanced up the pitch. But for me, Sofyan Amrabat deserves to be the CDM of choice because he definitely is the more robust, more industrious, battling midfielder. He's already completed 21 tackles in comparison to Alexis McAllister, and on top of that, he's definitely been a lot more involved in terms of ground duels, in terms of the battles, the 1v1s. And I just feel like it's been Sofyan Amrabat who's had to deal with more pressure and more of the disadvantages because he's joined Manchester United on the last minute of the transfer window. He had to join while he was on an injured basis, didn't have a preseason. He joined United, tried to find himself, get his feet sorted, but the injury crisis just made things completely even worse. But you're actually seeing a little bit more of him now. And while Scott McTominay might be scoring goals on the other side of the pitch, it is Sofyan Amrabat who's shoring things up, being the anchor, the single pivot in front of his back four.
I think he deserves a shot. The thing is with Sofyan Amrabat, there is no protection in front of that Man United back four, and Man United are leaking so many goals, and ultimately they are getting outplayed in midfield. I think Amrabat is a brilliant player. I watched him at the World Cup thoroughly. I think he's an absolute phenomenal. But Liverpool aren't conceding goals. They're not leaking very many, maybe one or two here and there. Obviously that comes with the back four, but it also comes, they do dominate teams in midfield. Yes, they may not dominate teams in midfield as much as they used to with Fabinho, with Henderson, but McAllister has come in and done a job. You have to look at it like this as a neutral. Would Amrabat get in the Liverpool team? No, I don't think he would. I generally don't. Leo, do you agree with that?
Yeah, if it was right after the World Cup and the way he played at the World Cup, absolutely. He was phenomenal to watch. But right now, no chance.
Respectfully, I think he would. If the Man United fans watching right now, get involved in the comments and back me up here because I think he would get in that back line. I think he would get that CDM role easy.
Ooh.
Man United fans, let me know in the comments, would Amrabat get in Liverpool's team? Don't be biased, try and be honest. Neutrals, let me know as well. But for me, as a neutral, I'm going with McAllister. I'm sorry, John.
Let's go. Come on.
Elliott or McTominay?
Harvey Elliott is a great youngster to watch. I really do enjoy watching him. But Scott McTominay currently is single-handedly, well, double-handedly with Harry Maguire, saving Manchester United. He's scoring so many big goals. 2 against Brentford, 1 against Sheffield United, another goal against Chelsea. He is coming up with some massive, massive goals. From what he was as a CDM, he's playing free roam in midfield and he's actually playing well. But Harvey Elliott is a great youngster to watch. I cannot wait to see what talent that he turns into. And if he's going to do it under anybody, it's at Liverpool and under Jurgen Klopp.
I mean, there's such different players that it's hard to compare, but what I love about Liverpool's midfield now is there's so many competition for places. Like on Sunday, I have no idea whether it's Gravenberch that starts, whether it's Harvey, Curtis. It'll probably be Harvey because of the massive goal. Harvey Elliott has played a massive role in all of those. And I know he hasn't started in most of them, but he comes off the bench, and the way football is now with 5 substitutions, the squad depth that you have and the options you have from the bench has a massive impact. And Harvey's been that guy.
Wolves and Palace stick out in particular, Leo, with Harvey Elliott. And as a youngster, he's so exciting to watch, the way that he gets the ball in midfield. But there's a little bit of inexperience there. And that's where we go over to the big Scottish man saving your club at the moment.
Absolutely! Scott McTominay is honestly the saving grace in all of Manchester United's just chaos right now. You mentioned before, James, that Manchester United are leaking goals left, right, and center. And we are. Let's be fair. Let's be frank. We are leaking goals. But we are somehow still getting results in certain games because of Scott McTominay's performance. And you also mentioned that bit about his free role that he seems to be having this. Although he seems to occupy what seems to be a CDM role. And for me, Scott McTominay's best position is actually going forward, whether it be in a more of a... But for me, Scott McTominay could either be that hard man up front, and for me, why he's scoring goals is because Erik ten Hag has finally understood that Scott McTominay's best role is actually when he's not having to sit in front of the pressure, in front of his back four, in a holding pivot role. When the press comes, like for example, if Man United play against Liverpool, you don't expect Scott McTominay to be sitting in front of that back four. You don't expect him to be an anchor because he doesn't have that kind of quality as a midfielder.
I mean, look, United, you guys were trying to sell McTominay this summer for not that much given this crazy market, and you had no suitors. West Ham were maybe going to buy him, but nobody went for him. And that's in a summer where everyone was desperately trying to find midfielders.
But maybe he's used that, Leo, for his personal strength.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to buy me. Yes, Man United may have asked for a bit too much money. He's turned that into form and turned it into goals unexpectedly.
Yes, but you have to also understand that when your club is in a healthy position, and I hate to say this, but when your club is in a healthy as position as Manchester City, you can use opportunities to bring in your fringe players to sort of up their prices. So to speak. Cole Palmer went to Chelsea for how much? 45 mil? It was a lot of money for Cole Palmer, and I think he's a bright, talented player. But for me, somebody like Scott McTominay last year couldn't get a sniff because of how Manchester United were playing well, but also at times a little chaotic with respect to Casemiro and Christian Eriksen and those kinds of players. But I guarantee you, if Scott McTominay was playing in a situation like, for example, if we're talking about Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola, for you guys' sake, he definitely would have a much more higher price tag, and he definitely would have been much more coveted and attractive.
Okay, it's time to make the choice. A promising youngster against a man that is double-handedly saving Manchester United. Leo, don't hate me. McTominay's going in because how can I do it? Because I love watching Harvey Elliott. If you ask me this question in 2 years, Harvey Elliott will get in. He's got so much time to improve. This is McTominay's peak. He will not peak higher than this. And at the moment, on form, we got to take him. Like,
Szoboszlai or Bruno?
Bruno Fernandes is an absolute disgrace of a player and a disgrace of a captain to Manchester United. I am genuinely appalled to see some of his actions on the pitch. The fact that he got himself suspended for this game by just mouthing off at the referee like he constantly does is not captain material. It's not even Manchester United material. It's not even Premier League material. It's an utter disgrace. He should go back to the Portuguese league and just play at Sporting Club de Portugal with no competition. The fact that his ability is so good, and on his day he's one of the best midfielders in world football, is such a disappointment for how his attitude conveys on the pitch. He's an absolute disgraceful captain, no leadership, he's not a role model. There's my say. Go for it, lads.
I love that introduction. Absolutely love that introduction. And what I'll say about Szoboszlai is you see Liverpool's comeback from last season, how poor we were last season, and you see where we're at now, top of the league. The main reason is our midfield rebuild. And who's been at the heart of that midfield rebuild? It's been Dominik Szoboszlai. Literally, Liverpool fans are calling him
He's been unbelievable.
Regen. Stevie G regen, we don't throw that around. I've never heard that since Stevie has left the club. That's all I'll say. And the guy, by the way, I just saw this stat this morning. He's won possession back more times than any other player in the Premier League in 112. So not only does he bring so much going forward in the goals and assists, but then tracking back and working his socks off till the 98th minute. He's an incredibly complete player.
I am a Manchester United fan right now, having to go up against a high-flying Man City and a high-flying Liverpool. I will not allow this Bruno slander. Bruno Fernandes is one of the players that even the likes of Kevin De Bruyne shows respect for. Your Kevin De Bruyne, James, shows respect for my man Bruno Fernandes when it comes to shot-creating actions, key passes, through balls, big chances, not even XGs, XAs as a creative number 10. Chances creation, Bruno Fernandes, he gets overlooked because of Manchester United. He might, with respect to Erik ten Hag, maybe the situation with respect to the chaos surrounding the club, maybe Bruno Fernandes is being overlooked, but as a creative midfielder, nobody can deny the contribution and the class that Bruno brings, which, don't get me wrong, lads, I'm actually with you in the sense that I'm not a big fan of when Bruno Fernandes moans a little bit too much. I'm not a big fan of things like that, but
a bit too much. It's every 5 minutes. It's an absolute disgrace. How can you get yourself booked for dissent when losing 3-0 to get yourself suspended for one of the biggest games of the Premier League season, the rivalry?
Okay,
that's not a captain. But I'm not doubting his ability on the pitch. I think he's a brilliant player. It's just his attitude is a disgrace.
Look, I agree with you, lads. And as me being a Man United fan who needs every single Manchester United player, all hands on deck, to have Bruno miss out like that, trust me, we're all frustrated, and I can't even tell you how upset I am. However, if I can make a case for Bruno Fernandes, he stayed true to his character, if you will. You mentioned that he moans 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, that's him.
Is that a captain character?
No, in terms of his moaning, in terms of his sort of his expression with respect to his feelings and his emotions, I know he regrets it.
There's a time and a place, and it wasn't then. Dominik Szoboszlai has been absolutely excellent for Liverpool in midfield. For me, I've made the decision, and it's I'm not doubting Bruno's ability, but as a captain, he's a disgrace, and Dominik Szoboszlai has come in and been absolutely amazing. It's Dominik Szoboszlai who makes this place.
Salah or Antony?
I mean, is there any point talking about this one? Arguably the best right winger in Premier League history versus a fidget spinner that cost 80 million. So I think this one's quite an easy one, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to say anything. I'll just say that I still think Salah is so underrated. Epitomizes what Salah is, which again, I agree. Sometimes you watch him and you're like, he's not taking players on 1v1. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. But guess what? He's always the difference maker, and that's something that very few players on the planet can do, and he's been doing it for season after season. It's unbelievable.
John, any case for Antony whatsoever?
Look, if there was any case that I would make for Antony, is that at least on a defensive aspect he contributes, but to put Antony up against arguably one of Premier League's greatest wingers, it's a difficult case, and I think I'll just put my hands up on this one. Mohamed Salah. You know what? As a Man United fan, Manchester United fans might feel like this is a little bit icky coming from a Man United fan, but you have to show respect to class players, and I think Mohamed Salah doesn't deserve enough, doesn't get the love that he deserves. So I think Mohamed Salah.
I think if any Man United fan says Anthony over Salah, they need to consider watching golf. It's Mo Salah. Nice, easy.
Diaz or Rashford?
Again, is there any point talking about this one? Luis Diaz is well clear, in my opinion, but Marcus Rashford, yet again, another player that needs to hold their hands up and admit that they were absolutely disgraceful in their actions by throwing gloves off the pitch, not playing well enough, no heart and desire for the team. Came on against Bournemouth and started running around like he had a point to prove of him being an individual. Oh yeah, I'll play a little bit better. No consideration for the team whatsoever with Marcus Rashford. I think he's one of the most independent and individual players, and he'd fit beautifully at Paris Saint-Germain. And why on earth he didn't go there, I'm not too sure. But yeah, for me, there's really not much of a debate, so there shouldn't be much of a pitch from either of you, but let me know what you think.
No, I mean, Rashford last season was a great player, but you have to be consistent, and I know there seems to be a lot of things going off the pitch, but you have to be able to put that aside. I mean, look what Lucho's been through. He's been through such a difficult moment in his private life, and the resilience he's shown in literally when he still didn't know where his dad was, he still scored a massive goal for us, and he's the one. Klopp didn't put any pressure for him to be back in training or anything. He wanted to come back into the team because he just loves football so much, and you can see his desire. Where even again when he doesn't get goals and assists, which I agree it's a part of his game he has to improve, he always runs his socks off, and he has that elite mentality.
John?
Look, at the end of the day, the reason why I put up such a big fight earlier on is because I feel like the case for my attackers is as hard as it's going to get. And Marcus Rashford has probably had one of his worst seasons so far, and it's really hard to put up a case for Marcus when he's not performing like that. And I will say, the disrespect that the king from Withenshaw, the disrespect that he gets, I'm not a big fan of, but when it comes to current form, he just can't seem to get his feet to really click. I don't understand. It's been so confusing and complicated. Manchester United fans in the comments, maybe you can let us know. I'm not really sure what to make of this situation, but I think if there is a case to make, I think I could say that potentially between the two managers, if I'm leaning towards the manager that I think will be in this combined 11, he could definitely get a better job, maybe a better job out of Marcus Rashford. Who knows? I have no clue. I just feel like Marcus Rashford, he's not having the time of his life right now.
Not really. So I think Luis Diaz is in a unanimous decision, and he makes the combined 11.
Nunes or Højlund?
Rasmus Højlund gets a lot of slate, probably because he's got 0 Premier League goals. But in the Champions League, he's looked like a player that actually wants to fight for the Man United badge, which is a positive for United. Nunes is just a hit or miss day for Darwizi. One day he can score every chance that he gets. He got 2 against Newcastle and got Liverpool a massive win when they were not favourites against St James's Park. But on another time, I've seen a complication on TikTok of Darwin Núñez missing open nets for 2 minutes straight. So it's hit or miss with him. But Højlund really hasn't got going.
No, and I was going to say, you talk about him missing chances, but he still has 9 goals and assists in the Premier League in 15 games. You know, compared to Højlund, who has 0. What I want to talk about, though, is if you watch Liverpool's games, he actually has a massive impact, even when he doesn't score or assist. But he's still a player that you always want on the pitch because he's going to cause problems for the opposition and break down the defense, you know. And that's why he has to be in the team.
Look, I have all the love for Darwin Núñez. I watched him very closely when he performed for Uruguay in the World Cup, and I've watched a couple of Liverpool games this season to know that he definitely has an impact. But as a number 9, you have to be clinical, and as a number 9, you have to put it in the back of the net.
Who has more goals in the Premier League?
Look.
Who has more goals?
Leo.
Or in all competitions?
Leo, I love you.
Who has more
But
goals?
let me land, because what I'm trying to say with respect to Darwin Núñez is that clinicalness, his goals to assist to ratio, is there as an output due to the rest of the Liverpool front 3 and the rest of the Liverpool players feeding him those chances, being available. If you look at Rasmus Højlund right now, he is working his absolute socks off. Manchester United fans know.
So is Darwin.
Sure, but Manchester United fans definitely know that somebody like Rasmus Højlund, those goals will come as soon as the service comes for Rasmus.
So, John, are you saying if Højlund was in the Liverpool team, would he have 0 goals? Because I don't think he would. I think he would have had a few. But would he had as many as Darwizi? I don't know, because Højlund's not proved himself yet whatsoever. That's the issue I've got, because I'm not Núñez's biggest fan, but he's still proving himself.
Yeah, but you guys also have to realize the reason why Darwin isn't going so crazy is also it's hard for him to adjust to this Liverpool team. He's not meant to be a false nine type player, which is what Klopp likes. And that's why we're seeing Gakpo start a lot of the time too. So Darwin has to basically completely change his game when what he was so good at Benfica and where he's so good with Uruguay is making those runs in behind, being that target man, which he isn't at Liverpool. So what's he had to do? Completely shift his game, and of course that takes time. But look, this season, he has more assists than goals in the Premier League, you know, and that's what you kind of need to do in this Liverpool team, like we saw with Bobby Firmino all those years. So he's even showing that he has that side to his game, which takes time to develop, you know, but he's doing it already.
He is. It's a really, really difficult decision, to be honest, as a neutral. I'm not Darwin's biggest fan. I think he's not a Liverpool type of player. They need somebody like a Firmino because all their goals used to come from Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. But you have to look at the stats, and Rasmus Højlund has not scored in the Premier League or got an assist. I really like Højlund. I think he's going to be a good player. But as of right now, 0 goals and 0 assists in the Premier League. He can't be in this team. He can't be in this team. And I'm not Nunez's biggest fan. If I could pick neither of them as a City fan, I would. I'd pick none of them. There'd be no striker, and we'd call back Firmino from Saudi Arabia, and he'd go in. Or we'd call back, or we'd put Marcus Rashford last season up front. But on this one, for me, I'm going to go with Nunez. I'm not his biggest fan, but 0 goals, 0 assists. You can't be having that.
Let's go.
Klopp or Ten Hag?
I don't think there's any question. Erik Ten Hag, after this game, may not be the Manchester United manager. If they get battered to Bayern Munich and they get battered at Anfield, he may be walking. He may be walking away from Old Trafford and packing his bags on Monday morning. For me, Jurgen Klopp. I don't think there's any much of a debate, but I'll listen to the pitches.
Yeah, no, the thing with Jurgen, and this is why, like with Ten Hag, I want to hear it whether you're in or out, John, but the part that I would find worrying if I was a United fan is you can't really see a style of play. And I will tell you that the moment Jurgen Klopp came in, he came into such a poor Liverpool team.
It was a poor team.
Like nowhere near Champions League football. And he completely, right away, because he's less of a tactical manager, but the way the mentality of the players shifted from day one, you could tell he had an imprint on the club. Think Ten Hag. I know it's such a difficult job, and you'll say that there's so much going on behind the scenes, but there's still something about seeing something.
Absolutely agree. But I think the question, instead of who makes this manager position, because I think John will agree deep down. I know he's a hardcore Man United fan and it's hard picking the Liverpool manager, but I think the question has to be Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out, John.
I just feel like, if I'm being completely honest, I think a lot of the players with respect to this season have failed Erik Ten Hag, and I feel absolutely gutted. Because while some people might say Ten Hag is a fraud, he lacks the tactical analysis, the tactical nuances of a Manchester United manager, all of these things. If you're watching this team perform, you can clearly see that some of these players just don't have what it takes to play for Manchester United. And some of these players, quite frankly...
some of the players have been there and seen off 4 or 5 managers. Look at Martial, he's been there for 9 years.
I feel very frustrated for Erik Ten Hag, and I just feel like with the right squad, and don't get me wrong, he's not void of any criticism. He spent money this season, and I think some of the players, it's showing more than ever that maybe he might have gotten these signings wrong, but you still have to back this manager, and with a season like we've had right now, with the amount of petulance that he's had to deal with, both on and off the pitch, you have to feel for him.
Absolutely agree. Anyway, let's jump into a score prediction. For me, I think this is either going to go 2 ways. Man United win this game 1-0 and somehow shithouse their way to winning at Anfield, or Liverpool absolutely destroy Manchester United, just like the 7-0 last year. Last year it was unexpected and it happened. This year, John, would you be surprised if it was 7-0?
No, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not going to say it's going to be 7-0. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-0 until the 89th minute, Liverpool winning, and Manchester United come up with 2 stupid-ass goals to take at least 1 point away from Anfield. Come on, United! I'll take that all day right now, baby.
What I'll say...
Oh my days, if that happened, that would be just cinema.
I think it'll all depend if you guys concede and we score an early goal at Anfield and there's an absolute eruption, because I think the ground is going to be going crazy. There's going to be 7,000 more fans because the stadium expansion. On top of that, we're top of the league. So like everyone is just buzzing at the minute. If we score an early goal, I'm worried for you guys.
So go on, Leo, prediction?
Prediction 4-0. 4-0 for Liverpool.
4-0. I was going to say 4-0 as well, so I'll change mine up and go Liverpool 6, Manchester United 1. I think Man United will score. I think McTominay will score some really FIFA AIDS goal, but I think Liverpool will just be too strong for Manchester United, and I can see another 7 goals, but 6 for Liverpool, and 1 for Manchester United. That's our predictions. So there is our Liverpool versus Manchester United combined 11. We've all tried to be as fair as possible, and there is our final team. Thank you very much for Leo and John for coming on. If you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like, subscribe down below, make sure to check out Leo and John, link in the description, and leave your predictions down below. Liverpool versus Manchester United. I want to hear your combined 11s and your score prediction. Who takes the win? But we all know one thing, that City are the best team in the land and all the world ahead of these two frauds.
Come on, United!
Come on, Liverpool!